Time is 5:21. Today is 24th of April 2012. My name is Abbas Damori. I'm taking the task to explain this eternal Mathnavi of Baha'u'llah. Continuing what we were doing so far. You must have listened to the previous one to continue this. Some of these topics are, they do not end in 5 lines that I've done here. So, Baha'u'llah, knowing how difficult is this task for us to reach to those inner self and masking ourselves and so on, he says to God, Ham magar لطف تو گیرد دستشان. Ham means also, ham means again. Magar, it's a preposition that could mean whether I told you or not. You could say magar for whether. In this particular case, these prepositions of ham and magar translate as unless. Ham magar, unless. Lotfe, the grace of you. To means you. Lotf means grace or favor. Favor of you, girat, takes their hands. Dast means hand, dastashan means shan. This pronoun means theirs. So, unless the favor of you takes their hand, unless you give them a favor to take their hand, it seems it is too difficult, says Baha'u'llah. He realizes this and he acknowledges to the difficulty of it. The result would be, if God gives you a hand, to do what? Pas konad fawriq ze bim in o an. Then, pas means then, fawriq konad means liberate you, delivers you, make you, set you free, emancipate you. As from, beam means fear. There is beam and there is tars. Tars and beam both means fear. Beam a, tars of, fear of, in this, o means and on means that. So, then delivers you from the fear of this and that. Oh. Baha'u'llah says to God, unless you give them a hand to deliver them from the fear of this and that. Oh, fear is a discussion. This is a heavy-duty discussion. I don't know if I have spoken of it to you in those series or not. I cannot recall it right now. But beam or fear, it could be both positive and negative. Fear is an estimate that your system, your existence, your soul, your brain, all of you, your animal, your vegetable, all of you, it's an estimate you make from certain events, whether you can handle it or not, whether it's going to overcome you or not. That we have to have. We do not have a warning of this estimation that tells us that you can make it or you could make it. Then we become like children. Little children of 2 months, 5 months old. They have no fear because they're lacking the brain. The function is not there really. So we do have to have fear. But is our estimation correct or not? You see? Is our desire that causes us to fear, is that desire is correct or not? I have a desire to become a millionaire, then I'm going to have to make a deal tonight. I use all my knowledge, and I feel my estimation tells me that not to get into this deal. You have a fear. You don't know what's going to happen. Why is that? Is that the whole desire of you becoming millionaire and billionaire is wrong to begin with. Now or that you have an estimations that is clearing that fear, creating that fear. So definitely the wrong desires in us causes us to estimate for achievement of many things. That in return gives us an estimation that does not match our capacity, therefore we become afraid of it. And Baha'u'llah says the fear of this and that. But there is a real fear. Abdullah has that fear. But see how his fear is different from other fear. He says, I said in the beginning in Tehran, Iran, that when they're making these assemblies, hands of the cause to have 2 votes. 1 hands of the cause, vote equal to 2 votes. Then he said, I was afraid that in future some wealthy big guy or very powerful guy, a king or others, to come and say that I want to have 3 votes or 4. That's why he says I changed it. See the fear that he has? It's a different type of fear, isn't it? For example, my fear is not so much of dying tomorrow, is that of getting too old. I'm afraid of living 90, 95 years old. Being in a room, not being able to move anywhere, having no friends around me. I fear that more than I fear of death. Of course, when I think about it, I fear, but I don't have to think about it. This is just a circumstantial situations. You could put yourself in many situations. So how do we get rid of so many fears in our life? Number 1 is that we have to have a system, a guideline to desire the right things, not the wrong things. Baha'u'llah and his cause is made for that. No, we do not need to get into a lot of desires that we have. As a result of it, we create a fear in us. You see? In the Baha'i faith, you know what synonym or antonym means. An antonym is exact opposite word. Baha'u'llah says the antonym of love is fear. It's in a place, I don't know exact quotations, in English or in Arabic. In the 7 valleys, it says, Al-hub sharafun lam yakun fi qalb al-khawf. Love is an honor that does not go in the heart full of fear. If you're afraid, you can't fall in love, he says. And without love, we basically have no power. The man who is in love takes all kind of risk. Imagine what would Romeo do to get to Juliet. There's no limit. He'll go right to die. Why? Because he just likes that desires in him. So, the problem is that when we have fear, we can't fall in love. Fear is a huge problem. It's natural that even to the most of us, the biggest one of us, whatever, fear comes in. He knocks the door. But he comes and talks a little bit and try to consult with you, but he will not be able to win you over. And basically you ask him to get out. For example, I remember in Iran when suddenly they cut me as a Baha'i, because I was teaching, by some serious hooligans, immediately fear comes onto you because they get you suddenly. But within 5 to 10 minutes, you overcome that fear. Okay? If it is for the sake of Baha'u'llah, if you're lucky enough in this life to be slapped on your face, they take your money, they harm you for the sake of Baha'u'llah. Oh, you don't know what kind of money are you tapping into. Consider it a lottery ticket in the next life. Because there is no bigger honor in this existence that you actually get hurt for sake of Baha'u'llah. Suppose that you've done everything right though, but now they're coming. Remember, that would not be a punishment, but it is that you are innocent and they're taking you, getting you there. But to be 100% innocent, acting all the writing of Baha'u'llah, and still to be cut, that is an honor. Otherwise, part of it is we ourselves are responsible for it. So, disordinate desires, many desires, can cause fear, can cause a lot of things. Mankind in the past, even here in US, they would say, okay, we want to buy a house. They were not thinking to buy a camera. There was no camera. A VCR, a TV, a telephone, a fridge. None of that was there. So once those desires are not there, you have never feeling that you're not wealthy because you don't have this thing. You don't know what they are. You see? But when we ramify the one desire of material into many objects, pluralize it, so many objects, then of course you feel poor because so many other people have what you don't have. Fear is the same thing. If there's nothing around, you don't have fear. But fear is also a state of wisdom. You are in the middle of jungle, and you know in this jungle there are wolves and lions and snakes and whatever, and they are harmful too. So that fear makes you to build a very sound house. There's cold, there's heat, there's bad weather. Those fears are telling you that you're not matching the things that comes ahead of time. Tells you to use your thinking power to create a defensive system. That's okay fear. But it's very important to be afraid of the desires that you should not even have in the beginning. That causes a lot of huge bad fear. You're afraid of not getting this and not getting that and da. It seems on our own we cannot overcome the fear. Maybe some of us can, but not all of us, you see. This is why we need this favor from God to take our hand so we can get rid of this fear of this and that. God will take your hand if you give your hand to God, isn't it? He's the doctor. Doctor doesn't go after the patient. Patient has to go after the doctor. So if we create a connection to something bigger, naturally our fear goes away, isn't it? I'm a little child, I'm walking in this, hooligans in the middle of, I don't know. So on my own, I'm afraid they might hit me, beat me. But imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger is my friend and I'm walking with him. I don't know fear, because I got such an insurance beside me. We have to have that connection to Baha'u'llah, not an ideological connections, not a philosophical connection, not an imaginary connections, real, literal connections. We go tonight, we do the prayer and ask him, sir, A, B, C, D. I want, this has to be done. I don't know if those things are right or wrong for me, but I have a little brain. It seems to me these things has to be done. I'm asking you, God, to either give those things to me or make me to understand why shouldn't I have it. If you can't get an answer from Baha'u'llah, you have no connections. Be demanding, I tell you. This demand, just as you have a demand from your mother, from your father, which white people don't, you should. It's your father, it's your mother, you know. They would have to. They love you. Baha'u'llah claims that I love you. Therefore, I am going to ask anything I want. I have no fear from anything to ask him. And I want answer as well. You know, you have to push for it. I'll tell you something funny in this regard. You know, after Bob died, he was martyred. It is written in the book, 26 at least people, they claim they're the successor of Bob because they saw this younger brother of Baha'u'llah, Azal. He's claiming, and they found him very stupid, a lunatic in fact. So they thought, if this is really somebody, why shouldn't I be? So many of them they claimed. One of them was somebody, which I don't know his name, in the book that Baha'u'llah, that Mr. Hassan Balyuzi have written about Baha'u'llah, Baha'u'llah, the son of the truth, they have written. Of some Persian of it. So, in that book says one guy, so honest, extremely honest. He was bugging Baha'u'llah to believe him that he is the successor. Baha'u'llah says something very strange. It's mind-boggling what he says for me, that I take things literal. He says he was so honest that if he pushed a little bit more, I would have believed him. Oh God, that's what Baha'u'llah says. He says if he pushed a little bit more, I would believe in him. And he could have not been the successor of Baha'u'llah. But it seems successorship and everything is excused, that honesty. So from that story, take notice. Demand from Baha'u'llah what you want, brother. Also take into consideration what Abdullah says. There are many things, many wishes, that they're the enemy of your existence. That's why God doesn't give it to you. Consider everything. Do everything you can. Then when you can't, go to Baha'u'llah, the prayer I've given it to you. It's on the website. Read the prayer and ask him, Baha'u'llah, I need help. Go on. 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times. Go right up to 9 times. Don't give up on it, eh? So, this is on the second line, he says. پر معنی برگشا تیار شو. Par means feather. Definitely it's a Persian word. It cannot get this stress on the top as to say it parre. But in the Persian poetry, it's allowed to do that because to create a right measure and right rhyme. So parre is actually doesn't exist. The actual word is pare ma'ani, not parre. Parre we say only to make the music to go right. So parre ma'ni bargosha tayyar sho. Parre ma'ni, the feather of significance, the meaningful feather, means a spiritual feather. Ma'ni means other side of the physical. But in this particular case, par does not mean feather, it means the wing. Okay? It says open, bargosha, open. The wing of spiritual, the wing of other side, the non-physical wing, open, tayyar sho. Tayyar means like a bird. Tayr means bird. Tayyar means the one who flies all the time. Okay, what's something happening all the time in some person? They use this particular frame to do it. So tayr turns into tayyar, means the one who flies all the time. So open the wing and fly all the time. Become a flying soul all the time. در هوای, in the presence, هوا, weather, air, space, nearness. در هوا, in the presence of قرب. قرب means closeness, nearness, nigh. So, in the presence, in the air of his nearness, sayyar sho. Sayyar and tayyar both means the same thing. Sayr again means the person who's going. Sayyar means going all the time. In fact, in Arabic they use sayyare means taxi or car, and tayyare means airplane. Become like an airplane, it says. Open the wing. Become like a car. Get close to him. Move. Constant moving in front of him, in his presence. It happens when you get rid of this beam, when you get rid of these tars, the wrong tars, the wrong fear, the fear that should not be there. Your estimation is wrong. Your calculator is wrong. You have wrong program installed in your head. Is always miscalculating. You're afraid of many things that you should not be, but then you're not afraid of many things that you should be afraid. If you do those things, it says, you will become tayyar and sayyar in his presence with your wing. How is this nearness with him? It explains it again here. قرب او با جان, closeness with him, with the soul. نه در طی قدم, not in pacing, traversing with your walks, with your paces. This does not mean that you're ordinary walking. Baha'u'llah doesn't talk about that. He's not saying that get close to God with your soul, not with your foot. No, it does not refer to the physical foot. No. This qadam, which means pace, which means the steps, walks, is that when we create so many steps towards something, even the 7 valleys, according to this, it's all a stepping, he says. And the 7 valleys says that there are people that they pass the 7 valleys in 1 second. He's talking all this, too much of curriculum, too much of bureaucracy, too much of stepping towards, all of that, he says, will not get you there. You gotta go with the soul. Your soul cannot take steps. Steps takes time. Soul doesn't take time. The souls in the other side does not understand time. Time comes only with matter. So what happens in the next life, how would you move then? Does soul move? That doesn't mean he does all that kind of things. But it does not happen by time. There's no time. It's through the willpower. The soul wills to go and he goes. That's it. And he's there. When he's willing something, it's right there, all the time. Time doesn't take to get there. If something has to be fixed by time, since there's no time, you're going to be eternally handicapped. So it's pretty crazy, eh? As imagine you have no hand, you have no feeling, you have no senses, you have nothing, you're totally handicapped, and a mosquito sits right in here. You're dying to get it out, but you can't because you have no means to move it. And he'll eat you. And you suffer from it. Because you can't move. You have no willpower. You have willpower, but you have no means to use the willpower because your body, you're handicapped, let's say. A soul can become handicapped. It does not have the willpower, okay? That will kill it. Willpower, that the first things, that crystal, that zojaja, that the first thing God gives it you, and he does not want, he says that, to undergo changes, essential or accidental. That one has to be there. In that case, he says, you can walk. This is the second line. Chun bejan pui, when with Jan Sol Pui walking, Darawi, you will come. Dar Qedam, as opposed to Qadam. Qadam means pace, walk, steps. Qedam, which has got an E, not A, E. Qedam means Qadim, means ancient, means eternal. A position that there is no time involved. So, this is God has to give you a favor to get rid of the tars and beam, which is, the favor is his faith. You have to get close to him. This closeness cannot be by steps and this and that. You have to use the measures of untimely measures. Okay? With the soul. And if you walk with the soul, he says, souls also walk. Jan Pui. Pui means walking with what? With soul. Here, though, the willpower has to be involved. There's no time involved. It says, then you will come to that eternity where you can see everything. The whole existence is in front of you. You will not see God, but the whole existence. So, he says that. Beautiful. Pas be'ani. Then, with on means that, I said that, but on also means in a twinkling of an eye. Okay? Right away. Immediately, promptly. Then with one prompt, one twinkling of an eye, تهي أفلاك الوجود, traversing the galaxies of existence. Aflauk wujud. Aflauk means the galaxies, whatever the existence are. Wujud. The entire existence of all those galaxies, in a second you can traverse. Nist mushkil. It is not hard. It is not, mushkil means hard, difficult. Nist means is not difficult. Chun, when, shavi, you become, zahl means ze-ahl, in the poetry they say zahl, zahle, if you become of the people of sujood, prostrations, those who prostrate. Sujood, prostrate doesn't mean prostrate. It's prostrate in the will of God. In other words, when you completely understand what God wants from you and you do it, you will be towed like a car by him. That's what obedience to God does that. Obedience of anybody makes him powerful. Obedience of queen makes the queen powerful. Obedience from government makes the government powerful. Obedience from God makes you powerful because you can't give him nothing. He'll just give it back to you. So obedient to God means get towed. That's what it is. You're getting towed. Your car is getting attached to that car and it'll go. Can you imagine what he says? How is this possible? That the entire existence, you can go in and on in a one prompt. Some people are trying to think at that, okay, there are some speeds that you could do that. Abdul-Baha refers to something called a speed of imaginations. I have given some idea about that, which means the speed of light is the speed of the proton or a particle. If particle becomes smaller than proton, which they haven't been able to do it yet, you will achieve higher speed. Imagine you're going on, and then quark, which is the component of the electron, is also made of something else, to a point that a particle that I call it imaginum, that you can actually, with such particle, if you can control it, you can actually travel to the entire universe. We all dream. A lot of us, at least one dream in our life has come true. Imagine we bank on that. Put this particular person in a room, all white color, and 3-4 months is studying one particular subject only. He gets all the fact about that, and he sleeps lots of time. He's basically a sleeper. And then his brain is connected to this particular device. And then he's willing to go to Europa, the moon in Jupiter. He actually can go there and bring back a lot of informations. Now there's 5 of them, 6 of them in different rooms. They all do the same thing. When you look at those information that they brought, they are very similar. Based on that, you can calculate how close to the reality you could be without even going there. But this is physical still. Believe me, imaginum is also a particle, it's material. Let's talk about something else now. Could there be a spiritual side to this physical universe? Yes, it is. It is. In the womb of the mother, it is all physical. It is impossible for you to experience kindness. They're kind too, but you don't understand it. It's like vegetable. You're kind to vegetable. Vegetable doesn't understand it. It does not have no device to register that. When you're in the womb, when you're one little particle, that womb looks like a universe to you. But as you grow, now it's all physical. You can even hear and this and that, which we might get bigger, physically in this womb of the universe, become so big that we could travel with Imaginum and find out what's happening in the other side of the galaxies. Very positively true information. So, but this is not that. But you cannot get any spiritual concept when you're in the womb. You don't know what kindness is, you know what the generosity is, you don't know any of that. But when you die from the womb and you come out in this life, not on the very first day, and all of a sudden, your mother inside the womb was nothing but blood. You had a bloody life in the womb of your mother. You're drinking blood. But when you come out, your physical mother inside, from outside, she's a spiritual. She just smiles. She shows kindness to you, and you smile back. This entire universe, it's physical now. When you die and you get out, from outside this universe is fully spiritual. A spirituality. Inside it is physical. Outside it is not. In fact, when you get out, you will be amazed to know the entire universe is the womb of your mother sitting there. You say, I want to go back to Guelph. They say, well? They say, listen, buddy, the whole thing is there. Where do you want to go? You won't fit in there. The entire universe is too small for you to fit in. Never mind the city of Guelph. It takes time, Muslim, they say about 40 days. Then you finally realize, okay, this is life and you were a sleepy, kind of asleep. That wasn't real. When something becomes unreal, when it ends, in comparison to something else. When you're in the dream, it's real. Many kids, they have a dream and they piss in the dream. Sometimes they ejaculate in the dream. How real want it to be? It is real then. It only becomes unreal because you wake up. Okay? So the whole universe will become totally unreal when you wake up on the other side. But we don't know what are you when you're waking up. What is the translation of you? Are you a germ? Are you a piece of a stone? Or you're actually a human being and still you're allowed to think and you can't think. Nobody's taking it away from you. You're not able to think. But if you can think still when you die, you see the entire universe is nothing. What is this? Then with one prompt traverse the entire existence, the galaxies of existence. It is not difficult if you become those that prostrate, obey God. This obedience of God, take it again as your car is not good, you're getting towed by another better car. Is that obedience or what? Or getting help or getting energy? Obedience to God means connect your vehicle and get juice. That's what it means. Then it's easy, he says. But he says, listen guys, this way it continues. It says, در بیان این بگویم نکته. در این بیان expression, in this بگویم, I say نکته, point, E1. He said, in expressing this, I will say a point. I'm going to say a point here, says Baha'u'llah. تا بری از آب حیوان هستی. Till you take from آب, water of حیوان, or حیوان means eternal life. From the eternal water, you can take hasi, a portion. So let me tell you a point here, Baha'u'llah says. So you can take from this water of life a portion, which is going to take, continues in the next session. So I'm going to summarize one more time. Baha'u'llah says, I understand the difficulty. He asked God, give them a favor, give them a hand, so deliver them from this fear of this and that. If you overcome those, then you become tayyar, flying, sayyar, moving. In nearness of him, become a moving object. In opening your ear, fly. And this does not happen, he says, with these steps and the process and whatnot. Anything that takes time is not going to get you there. He says, walk with the Jan, soul. Soul requires willpower. Does not need time. Don't use time, Baha'u'llah says. Use willpower. If you do so, you can come to a state to see the entire universe in 1 second. Well, there's two ways. Either I travel with imaginum, or I become so big that the entire universe becomes like a small ball. This is it, the entire universe. And a spiritual soul is infinite volume. The entire universe, which is physical, here, becomes outside. This bloody life that you have, this material, on the other side becomes your mother, smiles at you just as she did when you came out of the womb. Once again, she does. It seems the entire material is the wife of God. Baha'u'llah is the husband, it seems. One is the will, prime will, the other one is prime matter. From the prime will and the prime matter, we have what we know as existence. God is beyond both. Very well, people. Time is 6 o'clock. Another session. May Baha'u'llah be with you.